Gather up your projects, settle in your favorite spot. It's time to stitch with Sarah at her stitchy Camelot. Let's celebrate each other, this community we've got. It's time to get down to Sarah's stitchy spot.
Hello everyone, my name is Sarah. Welcome to my FlossTube channel, where we will discuss and celebrate all things cross-stitch. Grab your favorite beverage, get comfortable, and join me
at Sarah's stitchy spot.
Hi, I'm Sarah, and this is FlossTube number 9. It's Wednesday, October 26, 2022. That wonderful intro song that you heard as my FlossTube began was written and performed by my husband Stan, and I always want to give him grateful thanks for all his talent. I would like to take this moment to welcome each and every one of you to my FlossTube channel. If you are new, I hope you like what you see and you will subscribe, like the video, share, ring the bell, and do all the things that we do on FlossTube. If you are a returning viewer, hi, it's always good to see each and every one of you. I have enjoyed your comments. I've enjoyed responding to your comments. I feel that conversation grows from FlossTube to FlossTube, and it means ever so much to me. So keep commenting, keep subscribing, keep liking, and know that you are welcome here. So I have a lot of things that I want to talk about today. I have so many things to show you. And I'm going to look down a bit at my notes because I don't want to forget anything. I want to get some business out of the way that I neglected to do when I was filming in Idaho. And of prior importance is I want to remind all of you that this is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. From my previous life, you know that encouraging women to get a yearly mammogram is very important. So I want to encourage all of you, if you haven't had that done, get your mammogram. I want you to keep in your hearts all those people that are dealing with breast cancer, families that are dealing with members that have breast cancer, and celebrating the survivors of breast cancer. Most importantly, get your mammogram. So, and with that, I wanted to show a piece that I finished in 2021 that is called Eliza M. Stone. And this was a piece designed by Christina of Whilst Iris Naps. And she did this piece for and donated a portion of the funds to breast cancer research in England. And I thought it was just so sweet and so lovely, and had real importance in being done and being shown. So I wanted you to see that today. This piece is done on 36 count ballet slipper by Fox and Rabbit, and I used Classic Color Works used brick and gassed Gentle Arts terracotta. And again, this was to raise money for breast cancer research in England. So I apologize for neglecting to mention the importance of Breast Cancer Awareness Month when I filmed in Idaho, but I had wanted to share this piece with you, and I did that. And because I was traveling, I didn't have it with me. So thank you for indulging me on that. So, second, I have just a little bit of possibly bad news. Our little Chester that you guys have been meeting at the end of my videos, we found a little mass in his lower left jaw last week, and it was bleeding, and we took him to the vet, and we had it removed. We do not know the pathology yet. He's home, he's happy, he's eating. I'm disguising his antibiotics in yogurt and keeping his hard food soft, which he is just loving. Chester is 12. If the biopsy comes back malignant, the vet explained to me that it was unlikely that they could get clear margins, meaning that they could have removed the mass with leaving none of the cancer cells in the area. The treatment for that would be far more than we would ever put Chester through. But I did want to get the mass removed because if it's benign, he's going to be healthy and happy probably until, the next problem comes along to a 12-year-old dog. So please keep Chester in your thoughts, and we're going to keep our fingers crossed. I should find out sometime next week the results of the biopsy. So I wanted to share that and hope that you'll keep him in your heart. I had a couple of shout outs and thank yous that I wanted to do. Again, this was one that I forgot when I was filming in Idaho. Katie, the novel Stitcher, had given me a very nice shout out, and I wanted to thank her publicly for that and to encourage you to go over and give her a look. Again, this is another young Stitcher, which is so exciting to see these young women coming up in our stitching world. And so we want to encourage her and show her what a wonderful community and supportive community we are. So that is Katie, the novel Stitcher, and I will put the information below in the description box. Now I wanted to give a shout out to Mr. Hollick. Sean has a video, FlossTube. This young man, maybe not real young, but he looks young, is just an absolute delight. He is a delight in his genuine enthusiasm for cross-stitching. He just exudes joy every time he picks up a piece or talks about a chart. So I wanted to, again, encourage you to go over and give him a look, and that's Mr. Hollick. His name is Sean, and I will give the information below. The next thing that I wanted to talk about, which is quite exciting, is that we now, thanks to Chris Rogers and the combination of Pam and Steph on Just Keep Stitching and their Stitch Harmony, we have a Northern California group of stitchers that is growing, it seems, day by day. I got to have my first meeting with several of them this past Saturday. It is a little bit of a drive for me to go to Sacramento. It was a couple of hours, but I met some lovely, lovely women and got to sit and stitch for several hours, which is, it just doesn't get any better than that. It's so much fun to see what everyone's stitching on and to hear their stitching stories. So I want to again thank Chris Rogers for putting that together. We have a Facebook group called For the Love of Stitches. So if there are any more of you that are watching this or that are from Northern California and would be able to come into the Sacramento area, we met in a library. We had a meeting room with tables. We could have food, we could have drink, and it was just incredible. So I wanted to give that shout out to Chris and thank her for putting that together. And for those of us in Northern California, we have a group that we can stitch with. So next, previous finishes. I have several, two that are fully finished. I have a couple that I have just finished, but they had a Halloween theme, and so I wanted to share them now just before we get to the 31st. So let's get started with that. My first fully finished is, let's get this out, is Halloween Delivery by Plum Street Samplers. How gorgeous. I'm just so proud of that, and I love the framing. This one was framed locally. I stitched this on 36 count ivory even weave. I used the called for overdyed floss. this is, again, Halloween Delivery by Plum Street Samplers. The next piece that I wanted to show you has a bit of special meaning to me. This is The Addams Family by the Little Stitcher. I specifically stitched this because my grandson played Gomez his senior year in the high school musical production of The Addams Family. And I will insert a picture of him as Gomez. He gave me his permission to do that so that you can see how magnificent he looked. This piece was stitched on an ivory even weave. I didn't have any other information than that. I used the called for DMC. This was framed locally. And this is The Addams Family by the Little Stitcher. Now this is one of those pieces, you know, that I did early, and I would have loved to have stitched it on a sort of a more spooky fabric, but I was still sort of in that cream, ivory, white, because that's what we did. So anyway, but I love it very much. So that, wanted to share that with you. Okay. Hi, I'm back. Chester was distracted by something outside, and I didn't want his barking to disturb you, especially those of you with headphones, because he's got great volume to his bark, shall we say. Anyway, so we showed the two finished pieces that I have, the fully finished pieces that I had. The next piece that I have is by Leela Studio, and this is All Hallows Eve. Isn't that? I'm getting this itch to just, I'd like to have a lot of witches because they are so cute. So many of the designers have patterns with darling witches, but look at the eyes on her pumpkin and the smile. This is stitched on 36 count. No, this was actually 32 count. Badlands by Bestitch Me. I did stitch it 1/2. I did substitute Silks for You PR070 for the 310 or onyx that was called for. But that is All Hallows Eve by Leela Studio. My next piece that is not fully finished is Trick or Treat by Barbara Anna Designs. I do believe this was a pattern that was in one of the Primitive Needle, Punch Needle and Primitive Stitcher magazines. I think it was the 2021 fall issue, I would imagine. And this was stitched on 32 count Lugana in the color Ice Queen by Bestitch Me. And I used the called for DMC, but I did substitute Blackbird for the 310 and Weeks Dye Work Whiskey for the 783. So sort of shame on me that I haven't gotten these fully finished for this Halloween, but yes. Okay. So those are my previous finishes. And now for the great excitement, I'm so excited to show these two. I got back the 3 pieces that I sent to L&M Framing, and I couldn't be happier with their service. Lisa got in touch with me when my pieces arrived. She gave me choices for the pieces. She just kept me informed every step of the way. The service was quite prompt. I was very pleased, especially because I really wanted one of them to have at Christmas. So without further ado, shall I show you those pieces? The first one is Elizabeth Isles. Let's see if we can get back far enough and get the glare away. And I know this was on a 36 count swank by Fortnite Fabrics. It was for the fabulous Laura Duet's 60th birthday. And I am ever, ever so proud of it. I also used the Leo and Roxy conversion, and I used the Almond M&M's silks to diversify the cherubs. So that's Elizabeth Isles by the Scarlet Letter. The next finished piece is, just gotta, Pandemic by Sarcy Girl. This is a really big one. I apologize for the glare. Oh, I'm just so pleased. I love the frame. So 2020 Pandemic by Sarcy Girl, fully finished. And the last piece is Christmas Garden by Blackbird Designs. And I don't know if you can see or not, the frame sort of has this burgundy little mahogany color, and I just think it makes the reds pop, because these colors I did use the called for, and they are muted a bit, and I have seen people use a brighter colorway that is equally as gorgeous. So that's Christmas Garden by Blackbird Designs. Bottom line is I can completely I don't want this to fall. Recommend L&M Framing. I certainly intend to send more pieces to Lisa for framing. And again, I will put her website below. She has a form that you fill out and with each piece that you send. And so excellent job. And she worked within a budget for me, which I did appreciate. So that is the fully finished and finished pieces that I have. So the next thing that I want to go to are new starts. I have to stop because I have to get something. I forgot. Hold on. I'm back again. I haven't stopped and started this many times, I think, since I started doing FlossTube, but I know it'll just be a second since you saw me last. Anyway, so let's go to new starts. And the first one that I want to show you is, and I will put a picture of it here, is called The Flight by Not Forgotten Farms. Not Forgotten Farm, and this is my progress so far. I am doing this on a piece of 36 count Brenda's Brew by R&R Reproductions. Let's put a little back. There we go. I'm using the called for DMC, but I did substitute. This is a blendable, a 30 weight sulky blendable for the moon. I just thought it showed up a little bit better, and I may use it for the scissors that the witch is riding. So again, this is The Flight by Not Forgotten Farm. I really think I've still got time to finish maybe before Halloween. I have, this is that sulky. And if you can see, it's variegated. I tried to look it up on 123 Stitch. I know that this was originally called For the Moon in Emily's House by Lindy Stitches, and I couldn't get it when I did her piece that I have showed previously. But I did find it, so I went ahead and bought it. But that's the, and then like I said, the remainder are the call for D and C. So that is the flight. Now, I discussed this in my last video, but I said that when I actually got the pieces that I would show you, and these are my unicorn charts that were graciously given to me by Julie of Running with Scissors, Stitching with Jane and Julie. And so this is again, I haven't had a lot of Happy Mail, but this was, yeah. Well, you know, this community, this was Happy Mail. And not only were the charts, they weren't just placed in an envelope and mailed to me. I wanted to show you how I received them. Even though I did open them, I may have broken a rule. But the charts themselves came wrapped in this beautiful paper with cardboard to keep them straight. They were in pristine condition. The charts were, which I will show you, in a sleeve, a plastic sleeve for safekeeping. So this is Ida Mae Crow and Ira Ray Crow by The Good Housewife. So I have received those, and I did get started on them, which is my second new start, which I'm going to show you. But I just wanted to show you how beautifully this was packaged, as well as, because I'm kind of doing the Happy Mail that I got, I had this little package here that said thank you. And these were from Julie as well. And are you ready for this? They're counting pins and like a scissor fob. I can take those out now because I certainly plan to put those on a pair of scissors. So there's the, and there's a little black flower at the bottom. There's some scissors here and a heart. Thank you so much, Julie. These are so gorgeous. And then these are the counting pins or pins that can go in a pin keep. So I didn't use those. I waited until I could share those with you. But I have also found out that another person that in her comments said that she also would have, her unicorn charts were also Ida Mae and Ira Ray. And someone reached out to her and is sending those to her as well. So let's all remember that, even if it was something that might have been directed to something I said in a video, I'll always put it out there because if people are reading those comments, they may have them and we may be able to make a connection and get you those charts. I have someone that I am sending these charts to as soon as I have completed stitching them. As soon as I got them, I made a working copy and I put these back in the sleeve. And when I have finished stitching them, I will send that on. And like I said to one commenter, hopefully these will travel around like Santa Claus and bring stitching joy to all the stitchers in the world. Anyway, so I have started these on a 36 count marbled terracotta by XJU Designs. And I'm going to stitch them together. And of course, I've got my dangling threads. But that is Mr. Ira Ray. Julie coined the phrase royal crows, which I really like. It is hard. I have to think every time I say their name. But I will continue, like I said, to work on these quickly and get those patterns off so they can go to the next happy stitcher. And this is, these are the threads, which are all the called for DMC. I think it was probably originally, I think MPI silks, but I decided to go with the DMC. So those are those threads. So those are my 2 new starts. Okay, so now we will move on to whips, which are works in progress. And let me get this organized here. Okay, the first one that I will show you is the one that I stitched on this morning, and I plan to stitch on when I get finished filming, which is the Smith Sampler by the Scarlet House. I am stitching this on 36 count cottage stone by Color and Cotton, and I'm using the called for silks, or the silks that were put together for me at the attic. And so what I worked on this morning was the, I'm working down on this border. I want to get these top pages completed. It's funny though, I saw Grace of the Paisley Stitcher. She had started this, and I was watching her video last night and said, yep, this is the one I'm going to pick up this morning, because all you've got to do is see somebody working on it, and you want to pick it up. That's what I love about having them there and ready to go. So this is the Smith Sampler by the Scarlet House. My next work in progress is Halloween by Not Forgotten Farm. This is stitched on 36 count agave by, I think it's a Zweigart base fabric. I'm using the called for DMC. This is the chart. This was sort of my travel piece when we went to Idaho. And then I took it to the, for the Love of Stitches stitch along that we had in Sacramento this past weekend. So, oh wow, yeah, this is my progress, and it has a needle in it. But the young man is finished, and I am moving on to the young lady. I think there'll be a little work on that purple dress, but it should stitch up rather quickly. So that is Halloween by Not Forgotten Farm. Okay. And I did concentrate on Halloween pieces for my works in progress, my whips, this month, and to try to get some progress on those, which brings up next Away We Ride by Blackbird Designs, and this is the chart. And I am stitching this on 36 count in Dora by Needle and Flax. I am using a conversion to Vicki Clayton Silks. And this is my progress. So I have been working across with the border up here and the letters Away We Ride. I have some start on the house, the roof, and I just love this piece. I love the fabric. That's in Dora by Needle and Flax, and that is Away We Ride by Blackbird Design. Okay, jumping to the next seasonal piece is Candy Cane Wishes by Brenda Gervais with Thy Needle and Thread. And this is that piece. And I am stitching this on 36 count Aspen using the called for overdyed floss. And I have almost finished the snowman. And then I'll just have that little bit of greenery to go around the bottom. I did notice that the bird that is sitting on top of the snowman's head has a 1/1 candy cane. I'll give it a shot. I will. So that is Candy Cane Wishes by Brenda Gervais. Okay. My next whip is Thurza Priscilla Dawes. This is by Julie, Kansas City Girl in a Colorado World. She releases this under Hemlock and Rye on Gumroad, and I will put all that information below. I'm doing it on a 36 count Eureka by Fox and Rabbit with the called for DMC, and I am using the aged or the more muted colorway, which you can imagine what the bright colorway would look like. This girl, she loved color. But since you've seen it last, I completely finished this peacock. I have almost finished this entire floral motif up here. I'm close to halfway finished on this piece, and will continue to keep working on it. When I feel that they're that close, I kind of want to get them done. That center, let me get that thread off of there, but this center group of flowers right there had a lot of color changes, but they were worth it. So that is Thurza Priscilla Dawes, 1870, by Hemlock and Rye, which is Julie, Kansas City Girl in a Colorado World. Okay. Next up are my Thursday pieces, Red Sampler Day, and this is Mary 395, which is a Bristol sampler by Hands Across the Sea. And I am doing this with Gloriana silk in poinsettia, and then I'm maybe every once in a while doing one of the full alphabets in hollyberry. I had this stitched kitted up at the Acorn and Threads in Portland, and they weren't quite sure I would have enough. They thought I would, but it's fun to just put in a little variation. And so this is how far I have gotten. So I completely finished that next to last row, and then came down on this side and just went ahead and finished that. And now I'm starting across from the other end. I'm really anxious to get to the motifs, but I'm too afraid of my counting to not just go straight down. So this is Mary 395, which is a Bristol sampler by Hands Across the Sea. And then my second Thursday piece is TGA Redwork Sampler by Just Stitching Along, Krista Grammer. And this is the chart for that. Which, excuse me, I realized that I didn't put up a picture of Thurza Elizabeth Dawes, and I will put a picture up when I'm talking about it. Anyway, so this is TGA Redwork Sampler. I am stitching this with the Swatagé 946, which is the lighter red, and 4636, which is the darker red. And then there's a smattering of Gentle Arts and DMC. And I am at the halfway mark. I have crossed over the pages. So I have moved across to the next set of pages. And again, this is just it is such a sweet piece. and wonderful alphabet. The dark alphabet, those letters they're gorgeous. So TGA Redwork Sampler by Just Keep Stitching. Just Stitching Along by Krista Grammer. The next piece that I have been working on, and this is really working for me. I mentioned to you after watching the Monogamous Stitcher, and her name I'm pretty sure is Karen, but it is eluding me at the moment. I will put it down below. Said that she tries to devote 7 days a month to as a focus piece on her oldest WIP. I explained last week that I didn't choose my oldest WIP, but I did choose one that I have been working on for a long time, and I'm very close to a finish, and that's Fruits of Plenty by Modern Folk Embroidery. And I think that this will represent for October 5 days of stitching, and it's just amazing. I am using 36 count ivory even weave, and I'm using DMC 939 and 932. And this is my progress. And I finished October, that's that block right there. I have moved into the November block, and then it will just be the December. And I'll need to put the initials in on either side of the lovebirds, which will probably be 2 S's for Sarah and Stan. But that is the piece, and that is Fruits of Plenty by Modern Folk Embroidery. So I definitely think I'm going to continue to try to give a piece until it's finished 7 days a month, because 7 days a month, because it's very exciting to see the progress. I know some of you out there would say, well, if you didn't have so darn many WIPs, you could give a lot more days a month. But I do like having my choice. But this is working quite well for me. So, all right. My next WIP is Antonio Rosel y Garcia by Jan Hicks Creates. You guys have seen this piece previously, and you all know, or if you didn't, that I did get to spend time with Jan in Idaho, and I have such wonderful memories of that trip. I am stitching this on a 36 count Hint of Orange by XJU Designs, and I'm using a Vicki Clayton silk conversion. And so I have, I came across with this orangey, beautifully variegated alphabet. This may have just gotten a morning stitch for me, but I love working on it. I love it is a Spanish sampler, and it feels light and airy and lovely. And I think Jan just did an incredible job reproducing the sampler. So that's Antonio Rosel y Garcia, 1886. My next WIP is Miss Sarah Jane. Can't have a FlossTube without her, but I hope we will soon, because the whole point of this is to get it done. And this is a pattern by Lottie Da, and there she is. But I do think you'll see quite a bit of progress. Her dress is finished. She has feet. I have gotten vine down, and now I have started on these flowers here. And every once in a while I try to stick a length in those straight lines, so I won't have those all to do right at the end. But if you look at it, it's really just that simple border, and then the rest of the flowers and leaves down the other side. And she will be done. So that's Miss Sarah Jane by Lottie Da. I'm stitching this on 32 count straw linen with the called for DMC, and it is 1/2 threads. And my last whip that I have worked on over the last 2 weeks is Lady Halloween by Jardin Privé, sticking to trying to get some work on these bigger Halloween pieces. I am doing it monochromatically using the Antique Black by Soitiger Silk. And I am stitching this on a 36 count Mellow by Picture This Plus. And this is my progress. I'm pretty close to a page finish. I have gotten into her hat and her hair up here. I think the page finish is like, that line is down there. I did go down. I know with Quaker pieces, I have to be really careful with this this border. I did see there have been FlossTubes that I have watched where someone has, more than one person, they run a basting stitch down, which I really should do, so that they know that they're staying within that straight line. So for framing and etc., yeah, that will work. So that is my last whip, which is Lady Halloween by Jardin Privé. So those are my whips. I do have a little bit of haul. I might go into a bit of a spending freeze. I am, fingers crossed, going to try to get into the Sampler Symposium at the Attic in January. So I will probably be saving pennies for that. But those are, I haven't started the freeze yet. So let's go through what I have. I did pick up some more fabric from Hollis Hands Creates. I just always feel like you can't have enough. And this, I got a piece of 36 count Winter's Brew by R&R. Just a beautiful neutral. I got a piece of 36 count Affogato by Fiber on a Whim. And this is just gorgeous. I don't think I've ever stitched on this. It's got a green tones, and it's just beautiful. I think you can see that pretty good. And then the third piece I got was, I got another piece of flannel flower, 36 count flannel flower by Fox and Rabbit, which has some gorgeous modeling and color change in there. So those were the fabric pieces that I got. I did buy a couple of charts, and I'm going to have to show the pictures as I talk about them, but I did get from Colleen, Rebel Stitcher, I purchased Oma's Urn. I saw this finished. I don't think it was fully finished on Mama Loves You GB this past Sunday. And Colleen is just an exquisite, sweet design. And I just loved it. And so I had to have it. So I did get a PDF download of that. And while I was there, so that it did not, even though it was a digital download, travel alone, I got Women of Honor, which obviously you all know, and I will put a picture of that there as well. I think that it is an exquisite piece, and it it highlights lives of women that have been so important to all of us in our lives. So I wanted to make sure I had that piece, and I'll get that kitted up and ready to start. So my plans for November are sort of loosey-goosey, with the exception of, I know I will do 7 days on the Fruits of Plenty. I plan to probably continue a little bit with Lady Halloween, because it will fit in with Black November that Jacob at Modern Folk Embroidery has started. I'm trying so hard to not even look at the new releases that he has, because I know I'm going to want to buy one and start one, and I'm not making any promises. So Black Sampler Halloween is coming up. Black Sampler November is coming up, and so that there will probably be something that falls along those plans. I will probably continue to work on some Christmas smalls and try to get some of those fully finished for gifts. And I did want to bring up, if you haven't heard, but I'm sure you have, I have purchased my ticket for the Jingle Ball, which, how exciting is that? If it is, it's going to be December 2nd and 3rd. It's a virtual event with 10 to 11 designers. I mean, all the big hitters. And if you go on FlossTube and look for Lindy Stitches, Stephanie, she did a FlossTube that tells you how to sign up. The ticket is $10. There will be stitching rooms. You'll get to spend time with the designers. They will have special designs. I can't encourage you enough to check that out, because I think it'll be a lot of fun. It might be a way to wave at each other and see each other face to face in some of the Zoom stitching rooms. I've heard there's going to be maybe some talent provided by our designers, and there are classes. I understand that a lot of those have sold out because of the specific designers living in more rural areas have to limit the number that they can handle with their internet providers. But if you check out the one of the most recent FlossTubes with Lindy Stitches, Stephanie, she will discuss it. It's also been publicized on Instagram. So the Jingle Ball, that's going to be a lot of fun, and I think will really get us in the holiday mood. So those are my plans, and I think that I have touched everything that's on the table. Again, I want to continue to thank all of you for your comments. I did want to throw it out there today. If there's anything specific that you would like from me, I don't even feel I'm qualified to do tutorials per se, because there are so many good tutorials out there, and I don't really have the setup to film those, but we can always negotiate and talk. But if there's anything that you might want from me that I can accommodate, I hope that you will let me know in the comments, and we can discuss that. I did have a comment and question from a newer stitcher about samplers, and she was asking me about reproducting. I'm going back into my medical career. It's not reproductive samplers, reproduction samplers. And she was kind of interested in the definition, and so I was explaining that to her, that that reproduction samplers were charted from original pieces that were stitched by young men or young women, and different designers will purchase those. They can be, sometimes they get them on eBay, they get them at estate sales, at auctions, and they chart them themselves. They pull up the colors. They usually will have a model stitcher that will stitch it so that you can see what it will look like stitched. And that is a reproduction sampler. I'm kind of hooked up on that word right now. You know, if there's anything that you want me to research or come back and report on in a future FlossTube, I hope you will let me know that. Again, you have all been wonderful, and from comment to comment, I feel like you share just a little more about yourself, which I have really enjoyed. I want to let each of you know that that when I get news that is not good news, or that things that you are struggling with, that I do keep you in my heart, and I'm always there if you just want to private message me or email me, and just as a way of talking. So I think that I have covered everything. I will be back again in 2 weeks. Please leave a comment, and if you like what you saw, I hope you'll subscribe and like and ring the bell and share. And with everything covered, I think I will ask you to grab your cross stitch, get comfortable, and stitch what you love. Keep Chester in your hearts. Bye-bye.